Hi, hello guys, this is Vijay, biology lecturer from Aileba Junior College. As you know that we have started our NEET series. Based on that we are discussing about NEET chemistry and NEET biology, each and every chapter in detail and followed by practice numericals. Okay, in that category today we are going to discuss about NEET biology unit 2, biological classification, kingdom fungi. So today we are going to discuss in detail, and this particular unit is a very vast unit, as you know that. So this particular unit I would like to make a number of videos, so just follow it that. Okay, now today particularly we are going to discuss about kingdom fungi in detail. Let's start. The kingdom fungi, according to Whittaker's classification of 5 kingdom, this biological classification, already we have discussed in detail about algae, and today we are going to discuss the characteristic features of fungus. Okay, so let us see one by one. Yes, first point, the major characteristic features. The major characteristic features of kingdom fungi. You know, the organism belongs to this particular kingdom fungi. They are heterotrophic mode of nutrition because they do not possess chlorophyll for making their own food. By the process of involving the photosynthesis, dropping the sunlight, and could convert the sunlight energy to convert as a chemical energy. So this particular process cannot be seen in fungi because they do not have chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is the major and the most important pigment present in the green plants, especially algae and cyanobacteria, and they could help for the process of photosynthesis or the autotrophic mode of nutrition. So the first and foremost characteristic features of fungi in general, that is heterotrophic, because they are depending for other organism for the purpose of the nutrition. Next, the most of the organism belongs to these fungi. They are either parasites or saprophytes. Though they belongs to this heterotrophic mode of nutrition, so mostly they are parasites or saprophytes. Yes, the meaning of parasites. Parasites are the organism, they directly or indirectly involving or getting nutrition from the host organism, where this particular organism living on the surface or inside of the body. So based on that, the parasites are 2 types, ecto and endo. Ectoparasitic organism, they could survive on the surface of the body, and endoparasitic organism, they could survive inside of the body, inside of the host organism. But the fungus, they belongs to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They could show the parasitic mode of nutrition or the saprophytic mode of nutrition. Saprophytes are nothing but these are also like heterotrophic, depending on other organism, but especially here these kind of organism, they depend for the dead and decreases, the decayed matters. So they extract the nutrient from the decayed matters. Okay, now let us talk about the next characteristic feature. We have discussed about the thallus. Thallus is nothing but that is the body of the organism. Okay, so in fungus we are using the term thallus for describing the body or the structure of the organism. Thallus, which is made up of colorless filamentous structures, they are called hyphae. This hyphae is one of the characteristic feature of the fungi. The organism belongs to this. So the hyphae are nothing but they are like a filamentous as well as the branches of roots are the stem like structure, and that is a colorless filamentous structure present in this particular organism. So now let us talk about this hyphae. This is one of the branch like structure that could be seen in the organism body of the fungi, and these hyphae could produces the sub branches. They are called as mycelium. They are called as mycelium. Okay, the thallus of the fungi that could show the filamentous structure called hyphae, and the sub branches of these hyphae are called mycelium. So this is one of the major characteristic feature of this the fungi. Okay, so now next we are going to discuss about the reserve food. Yes, any organism they could involve for the nutrition and to extract the nutrient, and they could store in their body for the purpose of generating energy. So especially fungus, these organism, the organism belongs to this kingdom fungi, their reserve food as glycogen. So glycogen and oil globules are the reserve food. Glycogen or oil globules, they are nothing but the lipids or the fats. These are the reserve food for generating energy, especially the organism belongs to the kingdom fungi. Okay, now talking about the cell wall, fungi possesses cell wall, yes, and the cell wall which is made up of cellulose. Similarly, like the plant, the angiosperm type of plants. And here the cell wall is made up of cellulose to protect the cells of the fungus and also to give a definite shape to the organism. Okay, talking about nucleus, the nucleus are like eukaryotic type of nature that can be seen the organism belongs to fungi. Means a very well distinct nucleus can be seen, the organism belongs to these, the very well distinct nucleus can be seen, the organism belongs to the fungi, because these organisms are the well developed organism as comparing to the prokaryotic type of organism. Now the prokaryotic type of organism like bacteria or the cyanobacteria, so these are well developed. That is the reason they belongs to this eukaryotic type of organism. So we could able to see the distinct nucleus with the nuclear envelope. Now this particular organism belongs to this category, the fungi. They could causes different type of diseases to the plants, animals and the human being. There are few organisms, they are beneficial effect to the human being and also other organism. And the branch of the biology which we are studying about the organism belongs to fungi are called as mycology. Yes. So these are the general characteristic features of fungus or fungi the organism belongs to. Now let us discuss in detail about each and every characteristic features of the fungus. So first let us talk about these hyphae. What is the meaning of this hyphae? Actually, the hyphae are the basic unit of fungus, and these are the tubular like and the branch like filament, and there are numerous hyphae can be seen. So this could be called as hyphae in plural form and hypa in singular form. This particular hyphae that could able to form a network like structure. With sub branches are called mycelium. Okay, and mostly these fungi, they extract the energy from their particular environment by the process of extracellular digestion. They involve for extracellular digestion, and they could able to observe the digested material in the form of a solution. They could convert into the liquid and or they could consume the liquid so nutrient by the process of extracellular digestion. Next, talking about this algae and cyanobacteria, they could possesses the chlorophyll like pigment and which are helping for the process of photosynthesis that cannot be seen. The organism belongs to this particular the kingdom fungi, because they do not possesses the chlorophyll. With the help of that, they could not able to generate their own nutrient. Yes, as I said earlier, the most of the organism belongs to this particular category are parasitic form. Yes, but there are few organisms they are involving for the saprophytic mode of nutrient and also symbiotic mode of nutrition, especially the combination of a type of algae and the type of this particular fungus that could form a new kind of the combination of the organism called lichens. Is one of the best example where there are two different organisms, they are entirely different, like one as a algae, the other one as a fungus, and they could involve for the mutual understanding, sharing their nutrient. One the other one, they could able to share the shelter. Then both the organisms involving in this particular type of nutrient called the symbiotic mode of nutrition, and they would help for each other. And this is one of the mutual type of nutrition can be seen in this. The organism belongs to the category fungi. Okay, so based on the reproduction, the organism, if they could involve for the single cell and they could convert into the reproductive structure by this single cell, they are to be called as holocarpic. Yes, holocarpic are the type of fungus that could convert the single cell to be a reproductive structure. There are few fungus, they could form the multiple cells to convert into their reproductive structure, or the thallus entire body to convert into their reproductive structure is called eucarpic. So they are called as eucarpic. Yes, so this is based on what the mode of reproduction. And now talking about the cell and the structure, tissue structure, the mycelium, these are the sub branches that could originate from the main branches of the thallus, that is called hyphae. And these are organized into loosely or the compactly woven tissues like structure. They are called lectengyma. See, this lectengyma are the structure that could form by the loosely arrangement of this mycelium. And the based on the structure of mycelium, they could be divided into two types. Especially the protoplasm which is present in the hyphae, they may be continuous without any cross walls or the septa. So these particular type of the hyphae are called aseptate hyphae. Say for example, so this is one of the thallus, this is one of the hyphae of the particular organism, the fungus organism. There we could able to see the nucleus and other protoplasmic organelles, but here there are no cross wall in between the hyphae. So this type of fungi or this type of hyphae are called as aseptate hyphae, whereas in some cases the hyphae, there we could able to see the hyphae are divided with a different type of wall, a cross wall. Say for example, like here we could able to see the cross wall, this one of the hyphae, mycelium. So there we could able to see the cross wall in between, like forming like cells type. And here also we could able to see all the nucleus and the protoplasm and its organelle, cell organelles. But this kind of fungi, they are this kind of the hyphae, they are said to be, the septate hyphae. Okay, so that is one of the important type based on the cross wall between the protoplasm. Now talking about this hyphae or the hyphal wall, which is made up of the fungus cellulose, and in which we can able to see the cellulose which is impregnated with the chitin, and that could contain the nitrogen in addition to carbon and hydrogen molecules. Next, talking about the cell wall. The cell wall that encloses the protoplast. Cell wall contain the protoplast. In rhizobus, that is one of the best example. Mucor, that is one of the best example for the organism belongs to the fungi, the kingdom. There the protoplast which is non-septate. That is what I am saying. So there we could able to see the the mycelium. There we cannot see the septum between the hyphae or in the single hyphae. Mean there are no cross wall can be seen or called as aseptate or non-septate. And protoplast which is covered by a thin semi-permeable plasma membrane, and this plasma membrane that could help for the exchanging of ions and the nutrients, and also the the necessary elements that could come from the outside. And yes, next talking about the cytoplasm and cytoplasmic organelles present in the fungal, I mean the hyphae, thallus. So here the cytoplasm that could show the granular and which contain many minute nuclei are called as micronuclei, and these nuclei are very small and inconspicuous, and the cytoplasm that could contain many small vacuoles as well, and these vacuoles will involve for the storage function, and that could fill with the cell sap or the number of small gas filled vacuoles. There are few gases that could be filled in that. They are involving for the saprophytic mode of nutrition. So there these kind of gases will help for the fermentation. Okay, and the hyphae, where in the cytoplasm we could also able to see mitochondria, tictiosomes which are also called as Golgi bodies, and ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, oil droplets, and glycogen granules. These oil droplets and glycogen granules are called as the reserve food that could be extracted from the nutrient, I mean the sources of nutrient, and that could be stored in the hyphae of the thallus. So this is what the cell wall and the cell structure of, or the tissue structure of this the hyphae of the organism belongs to the kingdom fungi. The reproduction, yes, the mode of reproduction can be seen in fungi. You see, the fungi that could reproduces many different type or many different mode of reproduction. They could involve for vegetative mode of reproduction, sexual mode of reproduction, and asexual mode of reproduction. So these are the three different types of reproduction can be seen in fungus. So in that first vegetative, sexual and asexual mode of reproduction can be seen. In that first, let us talk about this vegetative mode of reproduction in detail. Okay, vegetative mode of reproduction can be seen in fungus, and this particular type of reproduction can be seen in the fungus by different methods. They could involve for different methods by this vegetative reproduction. Let us see one by one in detail. So first, talking about this vegetative mode of reproduction, the first category is fragmentation. Yes, fragmentation is nothing but undergoing for pieces, fragments. Say for example, the hyphae of the fungus, I mean the mycelium of the fungus, they undergo for breakdown into small and numerous pieces. Later on what happened, these each and every pieces will grow into a new mycelium, and they could develop their own thallus, the body, and they could develop into a new fungal organism. Okay, so fragmentation is one of the most important type of reproduction can be seen in vegetative type of reproduction. And here we could not able to see there are two different gametes involving or the exchanging of nucleic matter, or the nucleus are exchanging micro or macronucleus are not forming. Directly the thallus or the hyphae of the fungus undergoing for breakdown into small pieces, and these are developing into, these particular pieces are developing into new organism later on, okay, and to produce their new mycelium. So fragmentation is one of the method of vegetative reproduction. Second one, that is fission. So fission is also one of the type of vegetative reproduction. Here also we could not able to see the fusion of two different nucleus or the two different organism, okay, and this fission type of vegetative reproduction can be commonly seen in yeast, Saccharomyces, okay, yes, yeast, Saccharomyces species. Here, the cell, they would divide into the daughter cells. One cell, they are undergoing for dividing into two different cells, and the separated two different cells, they could develop into their own mycelium and the cell wall, and they could develop into their own thallus, a new microorganism, I mean the new fungus organism, okay. So fission is also one of the type of vegetative reproduction. Next, one of the most and important and the peculiar type of reproduction can be seen in the organism called fungus, that is called budding, and it is one of the most important type of vegetative reproduction can be seen. Budding is nothing but, in this particular case, a particular cell, they would develop a small bud like structure on in the surface or the corner of the cell wall, and this particular small bud like structure will develop into a small cell called their daughter cell, and later on the size of this bud would be started to increasing. As long as it is increasing, it would not attach to the mother cell, so they would break up and they will fell down into develop into a new mycelium or the new fungal organism. So that is one of the most important method or the peculiar type of vegetative reproduction called budding. And next one is odia, formation of odia, yes, or idea. Actually idea is nothing but these are the round shape or the oval shape structure. They could have the thin walls, and the hyphae of this idea undergoing for segmentation to produce yeast like structures or yeast like cells called idea, and each idea they could able to germinate into a new mycelium. So this is also one of the type of vegetative reproduction. Next, chlamydospores. Chlamydospores, some of the fungus, they could produces spores, and these spores are thick walled. They are also called as the resting cells, and they are capable of producing into a new organism or the new fungus during the favorable condition. These chlamydospores could be produced from the mother cell and each and every spores, they could have the capability of producing a new mycelium or the thallus of the fungal organism. So it is also one of the type of vegetative reproduction can be seen in the fungus. Again, the last and final type of this vegetative reproduction is gemme or gemme. Yes, these gemme are similar like these chlamydospores. They also could develop a thick wall, and they could form from the parent cell. During the favorable condition, they could able to develop into new organism, new fungal organism. Yes, so these all are the different types of vegetative reproduction can be seen in general or in common in the organism belongs to the kingdom fungi. Fragmentation and fission. Fragmentation by means of undergoing for small pieces or the numerous pieces, and each pieces they could have the capability of producing a new mycelium or the thallus. Fission, undergoing for fission, a single cell dividing into the n number of daughter cells, so that is called fission. Then budding, formation of bud-like structure on the surface of the parent cell, and later on this particular bud could develop into a new mycelium. And idea is a type of yeast cells produced by the mycelium, and they could develop into a new mycelium. Chlamydospores and these are the type of spores. They could have the thick cell wall. During favorable condition, they could able to develop into a new mycelium or the thallus of the fungal organism. So these are the different types of vegetative reproduction can be seen. So these are the different types of vegetative reproduction can be seen in the fungal organism, especially in the kingdom fungi. Now let us talk about the asexual reproduction in fungus. So in the organism belongs to the fungi, they could involve for asexual reproduction as well. So in this, we are going to discuss about two different types of organism or two different method of the reproduction by asexual reproduction. One is called the spore formation and another one is called conidia formation. Yes, by means of the formation of spore, by means of the formation of conidia, the fungus they could involve for the asexual mode of reproduction. First, let us talk about spore formation. The spores in fungi, they are different in shape and they are usually unicellular, thin-walled structure, spherical structure, and its diameter ranges from 5 to 50 micron, and they have the different types of spores. They like zoospores, sporangiospores, iridospores, teletospores, Puccinia spores. So these all are the different types of spores could be produced by different species present in this fungal organism. Okay, and the formation of spores, here there are no combination of two different organisms or the involvement of two different nucleus cannot be seen. That is the reason it is to be considered as the asexual reproduction of fungus. Next, talking about conidia. Conidia is also similar to the spores. They are also the oval or the spherical in shape, and these are formed from the detachable sporangia. It is one of the specialized structure that could bear this conidia, and these sporangia can be seen on the hyphae of the organism. And these conidia, they could able to produce n number of spores called conidiopores, and these conidiopores they could form different types of the shape or the structure, and these conidia will involve for the development of a new mycelium in the future. So these all are the different types of reproduction can be seen in asexual reproduction in the fungus. So far guys, we have discussed few topics from the kingdom fungi, and there are a lot of topics to be discussed in this particular chapter. Unit 2 biological classification, the kingdom fungi in detail in the next video. Until then, thank you guys.